Miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Wipe away our tears, with the broken heart. You are the answer to it all. Wipe away our tears, you mend the broken heart. You are the answer to it all. When it miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. When it miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Let's give God some praise on this morning. Thank Him because He is a way maker. He is a promise keeper. We know Him to be a miracle worker. Has any of you experienced God helping you? Has any of you experienced God's provision? Has any of you experienced God making a way out of no way? Give God some praise in this place. There are people that can't follow you. There are people that told you you would not amount to anything. There are people that have so much doubt on what you will become. But God sets you up and said that you shall go forth and you break the easy. Declare that you are a person of purpose. Give God some praise on this morning. Oh, thank you, oh God. We exalt you, we magnify you. We invite you into this place. We enter into your gates with thanksgiving. Oh God, we enter into your courts with praise. We come to offer you our best praise. We come to give you our highest, our praise of adoration, oh God. Thank you for your move, oh God. Thank you for making ways, oh God. Thank you for opening up doors and opening opportunities. Lord, we know there's nothing too hard for you. So Lord, if you find anything inside of us that should not be this morning, I ask you that you will remove it. I ask you that you will purge us. I ask you that you will cleanse us. I ask, oh God, that you would draw us near. But Lord, we know that we're not here by mistake. But we are here on purpose and for a purpose. And so, Lord, have your way this morning. Allow your will to decrease as you increase. For Lord, I know it's not about me, but it's about you. So, Lord, we want you to get the glory this morning. We want you to get the praise this morning. We want you to have your way this morning. Depression, you have to go. Fear, you have to go. Anxiety, you have to go. Waywardness, you have to go. Debauchery, you have to go. Sin, you're not welcome here. For we're standing on holy ground. Oh, Lord, we're praying right now that you would dispatch ministry angels. Minister to the needs of your people. Touch bodies from the crown of their head to the soles of their feet. We finally rebuke high blood pressure. We finally rebuke hypertension. We finally rebuke anorexia. Oh, we finally rebuke All policies, all distractions, all fears and phobias. In Christ's matchless name, we seal this prayer. Now, if you are a dancer, I'm going to give you a moment to get your dance shoes on. I know some of you like to dance. If you are a dancer, get your dance shoes on, because I am here to announce that we have a new location. August 15th, we will be launching Greater Blessing Ontario. God is sending us to Ontario to do a work. And I believe the city of Ontario is going to go from blessings to greater blessings. And we know God is doing what He has done, and we're thankful for it. So some of you may have been on social media, you may have seen the post already. Some of you may need to type in, the new address. Service, in-person service will be at 4 p.m. and we will be at 110. I believe is it North Vine? Can you read the address? Sister Trinise, can you read the address? So I'm gonna get on that. So starting, you can sit down. So starting August 15th, in-person worship will be at 4 p.m. in Ontario. The board yesterday voted to move to Ontario, but there was a point that was made. So what we will do for those who may have grown accustomed to school of ministry at 9:30, they may have grown accustomed to a 10:30 service and an 8 o'clock prayer. What we're going to do virtually, we'll yet have 8:30 prayer. Sister Brenda will be praying. We'll go live. We'll yet have school of ministry virtually, and we'll go live to social media. And then at 10:30, I'll kind of give an inspirational word for those who may have grown accustomed to these times. But if you want to be in the presence of God, if you want to be in person, because as Elder Stevens told us, Zoom just don't do it for her. You're going to have to come to Ontario. And I believe the presence of God is going to follow us there to the city of Ontario. And I am truly, truly, truly excited for what God is doing. Going to our readings, Job 42, 10 and 12, and we're dismissing GB kids back. It says, and the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. Going to 2 Kings 4:1. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, thy servant, my husband, is dead. And thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, And the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. Exodus 12:2. It says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. An unknown author once said, if you wait to do everything until you're sure it's right, you'll probably never do much of anything. Frank Clark said, if you can find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere. In our declaration, I have experienced both highs and lows in my life. I have succeeded and I have failed. One thing that I'm proud of is the fact that after all that I have gone through, I'm still standing. My failures did not get the best of me. When I was knocked down, I got back up. I will never stay down. Our theme in this whole month has been, I'm still standing. When people doubted me, I'm still standing. When people said we would make it 9 years, we are still standing. We're on the second side of 9. And we're yet standing. Because when God has breathed upon us a purpose, when God has breathed upon us a vision and a mission, I don't care how the devil attacks you. You have to yet stay persistent and trust that God is going to bring you out. Look at someone and say, there's no quitter in me. There's no quitter in me. Yes. We don't give up. Yes, we don't fall down in disgrace and throw our hands up in the air and say, I can't go on. No, when you are a child of God, you know that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I don't care if it's sickness or disease. I don't care if it's unemployment. I don't care if it's a broken heart, a divorce, a breakup. If you are a child of God, you shall succeed. There's no winner in me. When others give up, when others stress, I look in the mirror and I remember just who I serve. I serve a man who can do anything but fail. I serve Alpha and Omega. I serve the beginning and the end. I know the creator of the universe. So there's no stopping me because I am a child of God. Yes, the devil will try to discourage you. The devil will try to manipulate the situation. He will tell you it's too hard. He will tell you it can't be done. He will tell you all types of excuses. But when you are a child of God, all we have to do is go in his grace. Go in his favor. We may not see what he's doing, but we need that faith like Abram. God told him to go. He didn't question. He just went. And so I say, I'm going in God's favor. I know my future is bright because I'm in alignment with him. Because I'm in alignment with him, I know everything I do will succeed. Some of you recall that children's fairy tale. I think it was Rumpelstiltskin. He will go and he will turn the hay into gold. We have had a lot of hay, a lot of failure, a lot of sad moments. But when we are children of God, we need to propel back into our success. Amen. Our setbacks to moments in which we overcome. It's all right to be low. It's all right to have failed, but you must never stay there. Amen. Don't stay there. If we learned anything from Job, it's the fact that we must continue in our distress. Yes. We must continue in our hardship. I know it can be difficult. You know, this past week, I got a call from a friend. This friend of mine has been unemployed for a year and 8 months. He has went on many of interviews, many final interviews. And it was getting to the point I was able to hear the discouragement in his voice. But I kept praying for him. There will be moments that I will call on him and just tell him, your change is going to come. Hold on in there. So he called to let me know that he got an offer. You know, he was happy. But I will say, I had to encourage him. You know, he was excited, he accepted. But he had a job that was closer to home and another job that wanted him to interview next week. And he was like, you know, I think I'm about to, you know, not go on those interviews. I was like, you should still go. You should still go on those interviews. Because, you know, now when you interview, you don't have to come off desperate. You know, I guess I may have been the only person that has ever interviewed for a job and I didn't have a job. So when you interview for a job and you don't have a job, sometimes you are desperate. Yes. Anything will do. Even though it's not what you want, you have to pay your mortgage. You have to pay your rent. You need to put food on the table. And some of us take temporary solutions and we have made them long term. Not realizing that God has used a transitional experience that's going to get us to where we need to be long term. We just have to hold out. So I say, like I told him, go. You're not going to be desperate. If you don't get the job, you already got a job. But if you get the job, you may get a better offer than what they offered you, which is less than what you used to make. So we have to understand that there are times where we have setbacks, but we cannot give up on God's favor in our lives. We get distracted. The devil will tell you, oh, you're a failure. You lost your job before. You're a failure. So we forget to exercise faith. So many people are in situations where they are living in a status quo mentality because they don't want to rock the boat. But you have to pray, and I tell you, if God directs the move, it will be successful. Now, there's also times where God has to push us outside of our comfort zone to get us to start looking, to remind us just what we're capable of. And I tell you, when God pushes you outside of your comfort zone, it's because he wants to expand your territory. He wants to expand your influence. He wants to let you know just what you're capable of doing. I remember when we came to this building, and those that were around, the board members that were around, and we were walking around, and they told us, you know, what they wanted. You know, we were exercising in faith. You know, there were some people that didn't quite know how we would make the payment. But we made it. Even in COVID, we made it. And the board will tell you, Yesterday when we were having our meeting, God is so awesome that he will move on your behalf in a way that what you used to make or what you used to pay, you don't have to pay that anymore. He will give you more for less. Some people have gotten raises and promotions where they're making more money doing less work. Keep living. Trust me. It will come. But the hardest working people are people on the front line. The more people progress, the level of stress is different. There can be some heartache. There can be some sleepless nights because you're worrying. But when you realize that God has your best in mind, there's no need to stress. Not to brag, but I want to tell you of God's goodness. What I give monthly is what at one point I used to make in a month. That's what God has done. And that happened because I was faithful to him. And I tell you this so you know that God is not a respecter of persons. If you allow yourself to focus in on him and the divine assignment he has for you, whatever you put your mind to shall be successful. Write the vision. The Bible talks about write the vision. Make it plain. There are so many people that have not tapped into anywhere because they have not wrote the vision. God has given each one of us a dream. Some of us, it's a picture. Some of us, it's a word. But you're not going to get there if you don't reflect on what God has told you. Because I tell you, it's those moments of despair. It's those moments when you can look at that vision, when you can hear that word he gave you, that when you feel like throwing in the towel, that you'll remember who you are. I'm going to tell you something about the First Lady. In our room, above her nightstand, there was a word that was spoken over her life in 2012. I know it was 2012 because the program says 2012. And she has it there. Now, I'm going to assume she has it there because there are times she needs a reminder of what God spoke over her life. When you get a word, when a man or woman of God speaks to you, you need to write it down. You need to document it. And when it looks as though it's not coming through, you need to make sure you go back to what God told you and that you stay there trusting that he's going to bring you out. God spoke over Joseph's life. If we go back to Genesis, he spoke over Joseph's life. But there was obstacles. There was setback. There was times in which he was in prison. There was times he was in the pit. There were times I'm sure he thought, God, this isn't what you showed me. But he had to persist. And I tell you this morning, persist. Continue to stand. Continue to trust. Don't get afraid. Don't get out of control doubting what God promised you. Because I tell you, you will be victorious when you trust. If your faith has been wavering, if you have been second guessing God, if you have been on the border of throwing in the towel, maybe you have given up and you need a second wind, I invite you to the altar. I invite you to come and hear from him. Touch God for yourself. Don't leave here defeated, but leave here victorious, knowing that you can yet stand and that there is no quitter in you. Would there be one?
Jesus never